one of the things I learned in the military is you learn way more from watching people not be good leaders. The things you can learn on how to be a good leader on watching people mess it up is a huge benefit, just as good as having a really good leader show you exactly how it's done. Like, you can learn a lot of things how not to do stuff from people that are making mistakes, right? So for Dad's, all of his flaws, like, he taught us so many things, whether it was the good or the bad things, right? And we're gonna do the same thing. We're doing it right now.
Hey there, welcome to Born to Tint with the Miller Brothers. I'm thrilled to be here with my co-host and my brother, Josh.
How's it going? Today we have a very special guest for you, our sister, Nyshele Miller. This is a last minute sit-in, and we don't really have a plan of action, but let's maybe ask some questions, and I don't know.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really feel honored to be here.
Yeah, you're our first choice. Don't worry. No, I was actually looking forward to this. I'm actually happy how this happened because it's just very organic how this happened because you gave us a little pushback on this. But I'm very excited to talk with you because when we started, I would say, okay, well, now it started. When I was younger in the company and you were coming to work, you, if I remember correctly, you can fix me on this one. You said that you didn't want to work for the company to begin with, but I kind of understand some of the reasons why. But I'd love to hear from you why that is, and then also along with that, what drove you to come back to the company?
So I guess I never wanted to be in the company because seeing how hard it is to run a company through Dad and Mom, I thought I don't want to be any part of this. Also, working with family is hard, as we all know. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to do something different, which I did. I went to college, got a degree. I worked for a couple corporations, and then I had my first son. And when you have a child and you're trying to work full-time as a woman, it can be challenging, especially if you're at a company that's not understanding. So that's kind of where I hit my crossroads, and I decided to come back. And it was going to just be part-time, but it's slowly creeping back into more and more into the company. But you know what? I think it is a blessing because I'm able to have flexibility. You guys obviously understand because you're my brothers and Mom and Dad are my parents. And I actually really enjoy it because I get to have a bigger impact than I did at a corporation where I was just, one of the peons. And now I get to help you guys kind of collaborate and help run the business, which I've learned to enjoy. There's still the things I don't enjoy that much, but I like being back more than I ever thought I ever would.
Now, collaborate. You mean us not fight with each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mostly our meetings together, the three of us. Those are really fun.
Yeah, just meetings. It's just discussions.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say then I would look at it earlier on in the company when you're coming to work, it was just literally you're stuck up front, and did you ever, because this is actually an honest question, because I've actually never really asked this, did you ever ask Dad to learn to tint? Like, did you ever want to learn to tint?
I don't ever remember asking him that, but I'm kind of mad that he never did because now my house is still half tinted. I've lived there for 2.5 years. No one's still come to my house to finish the tint.
Black House manager.
Yeah, it would have been nice to tint my own house or, tint my own car. So I am kind of mad at Dad for not teaching me. Maybe you guys can teach me.
I was going to say, it's never too late.
Yeah, we got some windows at your house we can teach you with.
Yeah, great. That's great. Teach me on my own windows.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, if anything, it'd be a fun little goal to get you to the point and actually have you compete.
That would be fun. I'd be into that. That'd be cool. Then I could beat you guys.
I don't know about that. Maybe. I'm a pretty good teacher.
He struggles hard enough to try to not take right behind me constantly, but it's okay. So coming back into the company, I know when Mom and Dad approached me about it, or should I say approached us, talked to us about it, personally myself, I couldn't have been happier because it gives me, just like when Josh came back from the military, after he got out, worked down in Texas, was at the manufacturer, same thing, Mom and Dad approached me and kind of brought the subject up, and the same thing. I loved it because it gives me somebody I trust. And not to say I don't trust everyone on my team. I trust everybody that works for us. Yeah. We've been through our ups and downs with old employees and stuff like that, lessons learned. But when it comes down to it, I trust both of you. Like if if I've asked something or if I'm needing advice, I know what I'm getting responses. Like you said, I know you guys so well, and I feel extremely comfortable with you guys. So I couldn't have been more happy. And also the business experience you bring into the company that I'll never know. Like I've only worked for the shop.
Yeah.
You know, it's I tried doing other jobs growing up, and Dad kept throwing money at me to make me not work. So he's kept me there. No, you can make more money doing this. Okay, never experienced that. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of you bringing that other outlook on things. Because I would say me and Josh were very similar, but at the same time polar opposites.
Yeah.
When it comes to certain business ideas.
Well, I think we all have different ideals, and that's what kind of benefits the company too. Ever since Dad had his stroke, is we can all bring in our own experience, and then we kind of try to collaborate. And I think that's what's been helping us be successful the last 3 years.
For sure. I definitely think I follow Ricky's sentiment. Like bringing you back in, I was excited about too. The trust factor is huge. I know that you've learned a lot in business, and it is nice having a third person there to, sometimes break up the argument, right? Like sometimes it's like, all right, if we've got a problem or if we've got a problem, it's like all three of us are going to sit down and talk, because now we've got someone in the middle of it that can be a little objective. So I actually do enjoy that as much as maybe when we're in the heat of it, it doesn't seem like I do. I think it's nice, and it is good to have the different perspectives. I definitely have enjoyed having you back, and a lot of the progress we've had this last couple of years has definitely been completely due to the fact that you've brought a lot of organization to the chaos that we sometimes can bring. We get so tunnel visioned on getting the job done or whatever it is we're doing in the moment. There's business stuff that we can't handle that it's nice to know that you're handling it, whether it's the website or marketing or whatever. I mean, the fact that we're even doing this podcast right now wouldn't have happened without you.
Yep.
So.
Nope. That was as soon as I saw the idea pitched and the way of doing it, sent it straight to you, and you vetted it out. And again, it's one of those things where when it comes to vetting things out, I usually get you involved because I know that you're going to vet out the idea, and then you're going to come back at it with like you're handling the side of the business that, I mean, not to say I don't care about, but like the budgeting, social media, stuff like that. Like I want a job. It's like, what's the project? I'm intrigued in going after a project and seeing how I can complete that project in a very timely manner, put out the best possible quality work, and like all that behind the scenes stuff. Like I have to be privy to, but at the same time, I know I can hand it off to you, and it's like, all right, it's being taken care of.
Well, let's be clear here. I don't really want to do budgeting or HR. I just kind of have to. So I kind of hate those parts of my job. So can I complain to you guys?
You got it, HR department.
I am HR. So how am I supposed to let myself know that?
I'll give you her email.
Yeah, great. So I initially came back to help do marketing, which kind of snowballed into now I am doing accounting, HR. Like I'm just kind of like doing a lot of various different projects. I call myself the project director because I'm handling just kind of all the things that aren't like operational that they're handling.
Blogs?
Yeah, marketing. Part of marketing. So it's kind of snowballed, and I'm trying to take things off my mom's plate. We're trying to get my mom and dad completely out of the business one day. So we've been kind of like taking things off of my mom that she always kind of did and trying to modernize them a little, because when I came back into the company, we were still punching in cards, and this was only 2019. It's like, I was like, guys, we can do this on an app. Like, we don't need to be doing that. And even like my mom would get like paper sent home to her house physically of like everyone's hours for the week, like commissions. And I'm like, Mom, Google Drive, okay? Let's just like update this a little bit. You can be digital now. It's not that complicated. But my parents, like you guys know, they ran everything like old school, and they didn't really modernize it. And it took us being like, this isn't scary. You can do this.
And well, that's actually a giant, I think, opportunity for other people out there in the industry to look at, because there are a lot of the people that have been in it for a long time, some of the bigger, more successful businesses, just due to a factor of time alone, get stuck in the ways that they do things.
Yeah.
And yeah, you coming in and helping systematize it, which is all stuff that I love and I've been pushing for forever. Like one of the big reasons we even use Tint was I was like, we have to make everything digital as possible and get it as streamlined as possible. And the way that you've added so many different processes like that make it to where there's like 3 apps on our phone that we can basically see everything going on in the business, whether it's Deputy, because that's what we're using for everybody to clock in and out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Clover now for payments, and then Tintwiz. It's like those 3 apps, we can pretty much see everything we see in the business. And then there's automation stuff happening in the back end. Yeah, that's been super fun to work with you, because I know that that's been a huge part of our growth, is just automating stuff and putting systems in place. The fact that we've got, I don't know, we had 80 reviews total, and I know you were part of hooking up Nice Jobs when we set that up. You know, we've been doing a lot of work for a lot of people for a long time, but we weren't going out and like asking for reviews. We've never like tried to pay for reviews or anything like that. But automating and setting up Nice Jobs now, where when a customer's invoice is zeroed out, they automatically get a text asking for a review. Now there's no one even close to us in town on Google reviews. I think we're approaching 1,500 reviews. The next closest shop is like 200 or 300. And that's just been in like the last 4 or 5 years, which is kind of just by asking and not having to ask, like, because it's automated. They get a text message and they get follow-up emails, and we get a couple every day now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think technology has really helped propel our company too. Like,
Oh, tremendously.
like Dad was still doing paper invoices, I think, when I came back in 2019, and I was like, what is happening here? And we had 2 different systems still too.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think he was doing paper and digital at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
Saving the paper.
yeah.
Remember all the boxes of paper that Dad had? And I was like, we can probably go shred these now.
And the crazy thing is all the like extra order like things that happen that you don't even plan on when you're doing that. Paper estimates compared to having it in Tintwiz, like, and it just being like a rough estimate. Like, you can look at a window and see that it's like a 60 by 48 and just write it down real quick to get rough square footage to give a bid. But when you actually have a digital system that's cloud-based and the measurements get put in, the exact measurement, now my crew can pre-cut patterns before we even go on a job, which saves unloading all the film at the job, busting out the film handler, cutting up all the patterns, or pulling it out of the box on the ground like it's the 90s, wasting a bunch of film. You cut the jobs at the shop in the morning or the night before, vans loaded, go, show up. All the installers, preppers instantly get to work. Like, you just cut 2 hours off of every single job from going from paper to digital.
Well, even having the photos in there too.
Yeah.
Knowing what you're walking up to job site wise, what kind of window you're doing, and then sending that proposal off to a customer. That by itself, like,
Yeah.
majority of the proposals I see, if I'm going out and I'm doing sales, or I see bids that, or if I'm bidding against someone,
It's paper.
it's handwritten.
That's like what Dad used to do.
Oh, it
Yeah.
It- it-
different copies and
it has its place to a point. I still enjoy writing certain things down. It helps me commit certain things to memory. But presenting a proposal to a customer or a project itself, where it's a digital proposal, they can click on it, approve it right there too. But also shows every single room listed out with the names, the square footage associated for each one. And same thing, like when we measured to the inch, instead of putting, you know, like a 4x5, that's 20 square feet. Majority of the time that window's not that big. You know, that used to be kind of almost standard when it came to giving estimates. You would just do that. You would technically, most windows at that size, say 4x5, are actually like a 44 by 58, and you would just charge with the overage on what it was. So technically, a lot of the bids I am going up against, they're charging an extra 20, 30 square feet, where we're actually charging for the exact square footage of what you're paying for, like, or what you're trying to get on your projects. Like, that by itself, I think, has definitely propelled the company tremendously.
yeah.
And then streamlining all the processes. Like, I know it's been a journey since
Been a journey.
since the stroke, but it's definitely, I look back from where we started to where we've gotten to now, and it's like how much time we've saved, and then also improving the communication across every single department. Because at first we were trying to make departments. Now we're at a point where we have departments. Like you were saying to begin with, like, you started off kind of part-time, and it's been slowly kind of increasing little by little. And now we've got 3 different departments now. We have the front administration department, that's what you're heading of.
Yeah.
flat glass, Josh heads that, and then Brennan heads the automotive department, you know, and I see us keep growing that. And with all the processes that we've got in place now, we're able to do it streamlined and make it to where everyone knows what's happening. If there is an issue, it's always reverts back to Tint. Was it in there? Did you put it in there? Did you make notation? And plain and simple, it's what has to be done. And now I think we've gotten that clear throughout the entire company now, like everything goes through here. So now there's no more, well, he said this. Well, is it in the program? No? Then it didn't exist, sorry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no. The technology's been huge, and the other thing is, like, going back to just bringing you back in, the other thing that I think is great, and I know we've both had, like, a huge change in mindset. I might have kind of always been there a little bit, the whole, like, being growth mindset. It's nice having someone else that's that same way, because it's like, yeah, if you look back 3 or 4 years and look at how we're doing things compared to how we're doing it today, it's drastically different. But it's like, it didn't happen overnight. It was one little thing at a time. And you know, I'm the worst at this. Like, I want everything changed tomorrow, or we're slipping apart. But ultimately, like, you do have to do it little bit by bit, and you got to prioritize, and having your extra perspective in on stuff to help kind of reel us back and focus on the actual priority is actually a huge positive.
Thank you.
that was the other huge plus side for me is when it came down to it, when it comes to settling stuff that maybe me and him are, which unfortunately you get thrown in the middle of it. Because usually if we're talking about something, I'll come talk to you.
Yeah.
I'll see where you stand on this, and then we'll kind of go from there. But it's nice to have a nice, clean, even, kind of tiebreaker. Because it will happen times where me and you are talking about something, and then we got to drag him into, or you two are talking about something, and then it's like you guys are both coming at me. Mm-hmm. So I love the dynamic of all of us having our different points of views on stuff. Like I said, you coming in with corporate work, being a part of the machine, being the cog in the machine, so you see it from that perspective. Yeah. He's been in the military, so he's really seen when it comes to like a hierarchy, like rigid structure to, you know, hey, this is your boss, this is how you get to there. And I think that we've been slowly implementing that now to actually giving everyone a view into the company, or at least that works for the company. Like, do you want to get to the next level? This is the next level. This is where you got to get to next. This, you want to be lead installer, then you want to be manager, and actually being able to expand our business that way. We try.
Well, what I say is Josh is the idea man.
Yep.
Which is great. Like, he's brought great ideas to the company, and he's brought great things to the company, but it has to happen in time. There's other priorities within the company sometimes that we have to prioritize before we can just implement tomorrow.
Well, I'll tell you this, like, the fact that we're having this conversation on our podcast, you have no idea how happy that makes me, because this is one of the things. This is one of the things that, like, I was like fighting for like years ago.
Okay, sure, yes, absolutely.
But I'm so glad that it's happening. So don't get me wrong. Like, I know that we needed to have other things.
You need to lay the other bricks in place. And pave the path to get there. And that's always been my stance. Is same thing. That's the reason why I love the dynamic between the three of us. Idea man. That's for a certainty. It's not to say that we don't ever come up with ideas, but idea man. For a certainty. And I would say what I bring to the table is trying to, like, now, I'd say earlier in my career, no, it's just kind of just hanging up. No, just sticking film, not really thinking about business.
Disciplined execution.
Check, Dad kept paying you, so.
If anything, I was the one who actually got to, I understood Dad, not understood Dad, tolerated Dad. Well, that's not right either, I guess, but.
Well, you did tolerate Dad the most.
I think that's right.
Being able to decipher Dad. Being able to decipher Dad. And you know what? In the long run, all of that banter between me and him back and forth, because, you know, there were definitely times that me and him, like, I've seen Dad and him get into it before. And, like, me and Dad have got into it before. And I kind of understood where he came from. And it's one of the things that makes me kind of jealous of Dad in a way. I'll never get to experience, and not to say that it's a, I guess, experience like I absolutely wanted to have, the struggle or the starting a business from the ground up with like zero experience, not knowing anything about an industry, and just going like, let me try this out.
Just figure it out.
Yeah, I'll just figure it out. And like when I got into the business, I would learn how to tint when I was 9 years old. Started like, I think the first house I got dropped off on, or I was with him, and then he left to go give an estimate, if I'm not mistaken.
That seems like child labor laws.
Not if you're getting paid well. That's not true at all. And that was pure voluntary. I wanted a motorcycle or dirt bike, and he told me earn money. And what it sparked me understanding that, and like it sparked my work ethic. Like I saw him work day in, day out, put everything into the company, and like that just inspired me. I think I was 14 years old. The first house windows I did by myself, and like he like left me there, and like I knew.
What did the customers say? They were like, you just dropped your kid
It's
off
so
to
wild because
school?
I have these memories too.
They've in their eyes that I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
It wasn't said. It was just kind of assumed.
I remember.
Guess what? It looked amazing.
Getting my license. I got my license in October, and by that summer, I was driving the box van, the big giant box van we had, with one of my buddies from high school as my prepper, going on jobs. It blows my mind right now, but like most people were just like, all right, cool, like, and then the work was good because I was already good at that point, and it was like, but I can't imagine. I mean, I've got a 15-year-old daughter right now. I would trust her, but she hasn't shown any interest in like in the tint side of the business.
But she devoted herself to like tinting, like she devoted how she like is with her running.
But
and
still,
stuff.
sending her on a job on her own right now is like,
oh, not mine.
Yeah, because she's a girl.
No, that isn't what I'm saying at all. No, I'm
but
just
that's
saying.
what Dad would have said. That's probably why Dad did teach me how to tint, to be honest. Let's be real here.
No, it was a different
He's
time.
a little
Maybe.
sexist.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
I think he wanted you. I think he wanted you to take over. It's always been Dad's dream and like he's actually slowly has gotten it now. He wanted us three to run the company together, and that was even during when you were off, like out of college on other jobs. Like I know that was still deep down he wanted us to run the company together. Yeah. I don't think he ever saw the path of that happening. So like when you came and like, hey, I want to do this, and I was like, absolutely. It covers another part of the business that like I didn't say I don't want to cover, but it gives me another person I can trust to do that part of the business, and then we see how we grow together. But I know for certainty how excited he is the fact that we are actually running the company. The three of us.
Yeah, the chat with him was pretty cool, actually, saying that he doesn't worry about the business anymore. That was like a moment that made me kind of like, so if you haven't listened to that one, go back and listen to that one. That part, that was cool to hear, knowing how much he's stressed over this business over the years. And I don't even think it definitely was a different time, and I don't even think it was, I think it was just like, I'm teaching the boys the tent, and then at the same time, you were so busy with softball by the time like the sports we played. Yeah. That's another cool conversation we can have, because like one of our future guests we're gonna have now that we probably were gonna be talking to today is someone that we know from sports that's still a big customer of ours today. I've tinted people's houses in the last year that you played softball with their daughters, right? So like the networking part of business of like, you can be as crazy committed to the business as Dad was and spend all the hours he did, but then he still put the time into us and sports and stuff. And he used his mouth in the stands or on wherever. And there wasn't anyone at the softball or baseball field that didn't know that we had Green Valley Window Tint. And if they need their car or house tinted, that was the place to go. So he took every advantage of that opportunity to be out there on the field with us.
There's still people that still call.
Oh, all the time.
Hey, I know the Millers. And Amber's like, okay, everyone constantly knows you guys. Cool.
So yeah, I mean, that's a lesson that like I do it to this day. Like if I can show up to one of my kids' events in one of the wrapped vehicles, like I do it. For a while I was driving one of the vans everywhere. I leave. I won't change before going. Junior. I'll leave my uniform on, and I could probably go home and change, but I'm just gonna go to the field in my company uniform because the conversations get sparked, and I don't know how many cars or houses I've tinted already for people that play sports with my kids, you know. So it's like, why not? Like those are extra. I don't know, and those are even better connections because you build trust with those people even better.
And I would say too with Dad, I don't think obviously he didn't plan, but I don't think he, without the stroke, as much as he said he was stepping away from the business, I don't think he still would have been stepping away from the business.
Oh no!
In his mind, he was.
Oh my God, meddling so hard, we would not be where we are now.
Well.
Oh my God. He was. I've said this before. I'm amazed that they kept the business alive for that many years. And Dad, I don't know if you're going to watch this, but he held us back in a lot of ways in propelling because he was afraid to do things.
Well, yeah, and I think
I've used this before, and I've talked about it with other people in the company too. Dad was the biggest fuel to the company to let the fire get huge, but also a blanket right on top of it. And I say that in the most respectful way, in the fact of without his hard work and the hours he put in, and then how he bend over backwards for anyone, help anyone out, and do anything. But at the same time, it was very hard for him to trust. Yeah. And I understood that a little bit later on when I actually started thinking about the past experiences, old employees maybe, and stuff like that, to where it's like you trust someone. The problem with him is he would trust you to do something, but he had zero patience. So those two things don't go together, because as soon if it wasn't done right then, all of a sudden I'm being called, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, got it. I get to the shop 5 minutes later, and I'm going to talk to the people. And as I mentioned, like, yeah, your dad just got off the phone with me. I'm like, what?
Classic.
Why did you tell me? Like, and I mean, that's where me and him got it. That's where me and him started getting into it.
Micromanage.
Well, I was like, I've got zero problem. If you're going to be the one who calls and says this, just don't call me then. Like, I'm just, not to say that you're wasting my time, but it's like you've spent, like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go and take care of this. So now I'm taking time off what I'm doing to make sure this gets done for you. And then you don't give me the opportunity to do it. That was one thing that I had to get past when he stepped out, and it's like taking on more of that, like the old manager, team leader, like that, the lead of the company, was actually letting go, trusting the people underneath you, actually setting it up for each person to succeed, and let them actually come up with the game plan. That's Jocko right there. That's one of the main reasons why I got drawn so much. That's why me and Josh went to the muster. That's why I'm going to the muster again with Jocko and his company. It is for coaching, managing people. Like it's being able to trust them. Yeah, being able to trust somebody, or let them grow, set them up for success. Show them the path and say, hey, what do you need from me to help you? Like, I want you to, like, what's the game plan? I want you to come up with the game plan. Hear the game plan. Maybe there is another way of doing it. And there probably could be. And that was probably the biggest thing me and Dad got into it the most about, is like, he would say, I need this done, and then I come up with a plan, and then like it would get trumped.
Yeah.
And
I was afraid.
It's just when you have that many situations throughout your entire career where you get that huge letdown, that builds up, and then you have this huge callus where it's like, I've done that before, and unfortunately I've been screwed numerous times over and over again. He actually let me learn that when it came to, unfortunately, when you have certain clientele or customers where it's you're giving someone the benefit of the doubt and you're bending over backwards to somebody, and then when it comes down to it, they were just looking to get one over on you. And it's absolutely not everybody. It's a very, very small percentage, but it does happen, and you're not going to understand it until it finally happens to you, and you're like, got it. Now I know for next time, and I need to approach this next situation where I'm covering that and making sure that it's covered and it's been fully discussed. Like, where did I mess up last time? I didn't discuss this. I didn't go over this. I didn't have this signed. Whatever it need to be, to where everything's out in the open, to where you're like, all right, that's covered. I'm not going to let that happen again.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, because he'd been screwed so many times over the years that's why he was the way he was for certain things.
And I mean, honestly, we're sitting here talking about it now with the internet, with YouTube, with the Facebook groups that are out there, with now getting gone to the Tint offs as many years in a row as we have, and the panorama meetings, and Dad was very,
amazing before Google came around.
No. Well, here's the thing: is like, I think this happens to a lot of business owners, so this is probably helpful to a lot of people. And I'm not inventing this idea. Like, I've heard several people talk about it. Like, there's certain business skills that'll get you a certain size, and then in order to get to the next level and actually scale and grow, there's like new skills you need to learn, and you need to approach the business differently, and your role in the business is going to shift. I only know that now from listening to thousands of hours of podcasts and audiobooks from a bunch of the best business experts in the world, like now that and that makes sense to me now, and I can see it, and I can see how we've changed the way we do things. We're way more growth mindset. The way Dad was so gritty, and I know there's a lot of other business owners out there like this, maybe not even just the tin industry, but you get set in your ways. You are successful enough to at least create yourself, you know, freedom of having your own career. You might not have a super profitable business, but you're paying the bills, you're going on the vacations you want to go on, your family's playing the sports they want to play and all that, and you've accomplished what you set out to accomplish. So there might not be as much of a drive to grow at that point. And then, you know, change is hard. Like even for us trying to grow and change, it's hard. Like I'm actively trying to change, and I keep finding myself in old patterns and habits sometimes. Luckily I got you guys to check me on it, right? Like, yeah, I take I like the idea guy, but ultimately it doesn't matter without the execution piece. So it's like, yeah, if I was standalone by myself, like I can't execute on all the stuff I want to do. That's why I do like being able to bring ideas to you guys, or shoot you a video from YouTube on somebody else explaining an idea that I've got that might actually come through better, like sharing some Jocko with you or whatever. Like, all right, I can't communicate this idea, but this person is saying it exactly. Actually, I saw one of Pineda's videos today that was like, I think I sent it to you. And it was like, oh, this is an idea that we've had conversations about. And I was like, oh,
video. What the hell?
No, I sent it to both of you. It was probably an Instagram DM, and you're just never on there.
No, I'm not, unfortunately.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's such a different time right now. And the fact that we kind of have the benefit of having watched that. One of the things I learned in the military is you learn way more from watching people, like, not be good leaders. Like, the things you can learn on how to be a good leader on watching people mess it up.
Yeah.
Like, is a huge benefit, just as good as having a really good leader show you exactly how it's done. Like, you can learn a lot of things, how not to do stuff from people that are making mistakes, right? So for Dad's, all of his flaws, like he taught us so many things, whether it was the good or the bad things, right? Like, so it's like, and we're going to do the same thing. We're doing it right now. I'm sure.
That some of the biggest moments I've learned from are probably from my first go around, in my eyes, of actually being, I guess, lead installer or / manager of the shop, where I know that I had a heavy hand in certain bridges being burnt within the shop. And because of that, we had employees leave, and we went our separate ways. And I look back at that, and if I would have handled it like now, I would have handled it so much different, to where it's like letting things linger, can't have that. Talks need to happen, especially when you're growing. If you're starting to get to the point, like we have 17 people now on staff, you can't let any of that stuff linger. And like that was one of my biggest flaws. And like it sucks thinking about it that way, because it's like, all right, I gotta first and foremost recognize there's my failure. Now I need to learn from it and recognize it, own it, put the ego aside, and all right, what do I do to change from this? Like, we just implemented we've been talking about it for years, but I think we are on the path now. Review systems are in, because now we have set departments. Now we have a set hierarchy of like, this is your direct boss. Like, when it comes down to it, these are the things that you need to be doing within the company. Focus on what you need to do. All you can do is do your job to the best ability. Don't focus on anything else. And if there's anything you ever need, go to them. And if there's anything that they need, they know to go up above them, and then we all stand behind each other and support each other. We're all trying to do the same thing. Was trying to go to work, have a fun time, be there. No one wants to go to work and be miserable, and everyone wants to make money, like when it comes down to it. So why not work together, support each other, and have a nice, friendly, happy environment, because that's going to make everyone produce that much more and grow together. You know, it's like the clips thing. That's definitely, I'm pretty sure I've already said this in past episodes. Like, you pushing me, like, I think you tried pushing Rogan on me for a year or two.
Well, I might have been sharing clips. Pushing nothing.
Your definition of pushing is completely different from ours.
I mean, my idea behind it is the idea behind what's being said. Like, not necessarily.
I understand that now. We understand the Josh filter.
Well, Josh goes through his phases too.
Yes, but beyond that, I finally caved in the fact of, and it was, I think, pretty sure it was Goggins was probably, I don't know if that was one of the first ones I listened to, but like I finally caved in, and like it's when I first started getting into running, I caved in and listened to Goggins, listened to that episode, and then I listened to Goggins' book, and then I listened to Born to Run, and that just cascaded and rolled and just kept going to the point where eventually I got into running, because you got me back into running to begin with, my first 25K trail race. And then from there, when Luca was born, I got into marathons. And then from there, I caught the bug. That trickling effect changed the trajectory of my entire life. Like, I was not necessarily in the best place at the time before that, and, you know, recognized it within myself. But going down that path and getting into running got me into, like, Rogan got me into Jocko. And then reading those books, listening to all of Jocko's books. I have to say reading, because let's be real, I didn't read one thing. Listened to all of them, and that teamed up with the running. I'm out running for 10 plus hours a week, sometimes maybe even longer, depending on how I'm training. Started listening to those books, and as much as I hate to admit this, but I will, like, you were 100% right.
Wait. All right, we got this on video. I don't need you to repeat it. All right.
Yeah, believe me, but at the same time, I use it against you constantly.
Oh no, I love it.
So
I love it. It's
worked to my benefit when it comes down to it.
It's
really
the most
has.
frustrating, but like the most satisfying thing ever. Because I'll be the problem, and I'll be complaining about something, and you will literally be like, "What would Jocko do right now?" And I'll be like,
Checkmate.
All right, gotcha. Yeah, it's my fault. All right, let's move on.
Best thing about
But it's great that we have that communication now.
Oh,
So it's like an extra language, and that's where I think has been a huge improvement. And I don't want to take credit for it. It's just like, I don't know. Good ideas are good ideas, and when they're coming from super successful people, and the results are being like proven over and over and over again, like, it's not my idea. It's just like, hey, here's a good idea. Listen to this, and I don't know, like, it works.
Well,
so let's use it, and let's be on the same page. I'm not perfect at, like, I'm not the super disciplined person in the world. Like, I have my spells where I can get up at 4:30 every morning and get the runs in or whenever. But then life gets to me, and then I fall off a little bit. It's been nice, actually, being more into running again, being how, like, I definitely got the bug. Once you got, like, way into it, I got the jiu-jitsu bug and kind of fell off of running as much. But the fact that you, like, challenged me to do the 100-miler in October has gotten me back into it. I fought through some injuries, and now I'm actually feeling really good. My mileage needs to get a little bit higher, and we've only got, like, a month and a half.
Terrible.
But, yeah, I mean, I was just able to go run 10 miles with my daughter Sunday, and it felt great. I need to get going a little bit further than that. But, you know, I don't know, that your day does feel a lot better when you go and get a run in the morning. I at the Tint off every year now, instead of being out all night drinking and then hardly getting any sleep and then getting up and having a hangover and going trying to compete, I'm like in bed by like 7:30 or 8, get up in the morning, go for a run. Like, you know, I wanted to make a video talking about how I cheated to win the Tint off last year, and then the joke be that I got up early and I went for a run and I didn't stay up drinking all night, and like, that was cheating because nobody else did that. But
well, I think we need to make a bet this year.
Oh, we have the one bet as of right now.
What's the bet?
Well, it'd be a $1 bet between us with
How much?
dollar.
$1.
Hold on.
yeah,
This is for the guys that we're training, that we really push it to the limit.
I meant between you guys.
Oh, well,
well,
someone's gonna win a gold and someone's gonna win the silver.
But we need to have a better bet against you guys. We should have the shop bet on you guys to see who they think is going to win.
There we go. Let's create some division. Who wants to root for who?
The shop fantasy league.
Well,
There's like some
won't
hat
know.
you gotta wear.
Secret. It'll be, you guys won't know till the
I
mean,
suck at fantasy hat.
Oh, say something.
Whoever
There needs
picks
to be
the
a
winner
hat.
gets
A hat.
something.
If I beat
number
you,
2.
you gotta wear a hat that has a number 2 on it. And if you beat me, I gotta wear a hat that has a number 2 on it.
As long as I get to put
the
both
whole year,
championships on
every
it.
single day at work.
I don't know about the whole year, maybe once a month, perhaps.
One day a week. One day a week.
Year.
1 day a week.
One day a week, and you get to choose the day.
I think we should also put something on your shirt, number 2 on the back.
Well, I'm 100% willing to make that bet. I know that I'm going to win.
Oh, I can't wait to see this.
We've had this argument every time we've gone to compete. When we first started competing, let's all pull together, and
But
whoever
you
wins.
guys have competed against each other what?
No, more than that.
Oh, twice? You beat him twice?
He hasn't. He's competed not competing against me once, and that was the year he won.
But
Did you see the correlation there?
in 2018, he beat me by like half a point.
Wins a win.
I which I'm cool with. I've already said
First year I
this,
won. I
like-
won because of time. Me and the guy who took second, we literally we tied. It was, and I remember it very vividly because he kept going in and out in 2015, like watching them judge our windows. We had a tint. It was at the time. He had a tint 3x5 window, and then tint like it's.
Oh yeah, because I wasn't in that heat.
Yeah, it was like it's a trapezoid window that's up higher, and it's like it's 2x3 around that size. And I remember him saying, "Well, they keep going back and forth between your window and this other guy's window." And I was like, "Which guy?" He said, "The guy that was on number one." I was like, "Perfect. I know that I finished like 10 seconds before he did." So went back and forth, and later on at the dinner, we found out that I won. When they send the scores out, because they wait like 2 weeks, which is smart of them, because handing tint scores out to a bunch of tinners who tinners in general are extremely cocky.
Everybody thinks they're the best.
Well, it's not a bad trait unless it doesn't look good, and that's a problem. But you can't hand out the scores. So when we finally got those scores back, I noticed that we tied. So when we got our scores back for 2018, was what, half point? I think it was less than a half point.
No, it was a half a point. I remember it vividly because I remember I had a scratch on my top.
I forgot about it.
Well, I had like a minute left, and I noticed a little moisture in the corner, and I hit it with a card without putting a paper towel on it, which you should always do, and I didn't, and it scratched it a little bit, and it scratches a 1-point deduction. So that one little mistake.
Never mess with the windows. Leave it be.
I'm cool with it though. Like, I won money. We made the podium together. I was super happy for you. I could tell everybody, yeah, my brother is the best tinner in the world, and I finished number 2. So the only person that didn't beat me in the whole world was my little brother. So it's like, and then I would always add like his ego couldn't handle losing to me anyway. So it's good.
I can't wait to see what happens.
This year's gonna be exciting. I'm excited.
I mean, yeah, I haven't seen you install in a long time. So
What do you mean?
when's the last time you installed?
He installs it.
Houses?
That actually
Like
probably
2-3
gives them
weeks
better
ago?
odds.
The first time I won 2015, I was just an auto installer. I installed maybe 200 square feet on
Yeah.
the year. So like the size of my house. That's it. And
Wow.
and yeah, all that. I got a bunch of we had other employees that wanted to be there, and they wouldn't validate or wouldn't acknowledge, well, I wasn't there. Same thing, like I wasn't there. It's like, okay. And then he ended up competing with us later on, and then I think that was the year that me and Josh took first and second. So, it's just
Well, you both did better at least be on the podium together.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good competition there. So
it's always fun.
we could not make the finals, honestly. Like, I accept the fact that could happen. Like,
absolutely. The auto has about, last year had about 140 people. It has anywhere between 120, 140 people. Top 25% of those people, so you're looking at what, 30, 40 of those people, were people that I would hire in an instant. But a lot of those people they work for them, they already have their own business, so obviously not. But installer wise, those would be guys that I would hire in a heartbeat and not question their work at all.
if they had a good attitude.
Well, all that aside,
A lot of them do, but
their installation, how it turns out how ours turns out. Winning that competition is literally everything just went right at that one time. Like when you're transferring your tint to the window, you could have caught the speck in the air while you were laying your window. The top 10 or the top 8 in flat glass, at least, it is razor thin to get into the top 8. From 1 to probably 16 or 20, it's all within like 0.1, 0.2. So it's just like the one thing shifted your way. But every single one of those windows, any customer would be like, that looks perfect. Same thing with auto. It's the exact same thing. It's just everything clicked with you that day. And it's just, you got, there's some luck involved. There's no doubt about it at all. Even same thing with paint protection too. You're gathering all the best installers in the world. Like, and that's not saying that all the best installers can actually go compete, because it does take a lot to go compete. It's one thing I'm very happy that we're able to do as a company, is actually go to this competition and compete. Like I've already stated, like I'm about 99% sure I'm done after this year. Like I know my skills are still there. I know I can still still install. I still do paint protection. I still do auto every once in a while. Flat glass to me it's not mindless, but it's close to, because I've done so much of it. That's something I started. Like I said, I started tinting houses when I was 14. Like it just comes second nature to me when it comes to flat glass. So do the other two, but now I'm at a point where I'm just not installing enough, and I want to know what it feels like, because Dad's had this feeling. He has 2 people that he's trained how to tint, win. I want someone that we've trained, how we brought up, someone who knew nothing,
Totally.
That's a good
and
point.
then go.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
Next year,
I think
you
it's
guys
a good
will
idea.
see me there.
So we finally have, so in the past, we've never done anything special, but we finally have a department of the business that we've been building out extra window frames, and we've even got a door for auto that we've been letting our guys take reps on that we're training. And we even got one this year for flat glass that's similar to what they have at the Tin Off. We're bringing our second cousin. Is that so we had an internal tin off, and our 3 youngest installers in the auto bay all had a competition against each other that we judged. And the winner of that actually ended up being our cousin, Jordan. And so he's going to come this year, compete in auto, but we also signed him up for residential, commercial, architectural. He does not do that. He just tints auto. And then we also...
Have you already been?
Jordan.
So I actually...
Baker is his. Blanchard is mine.
So we took on a competition between the two of us
I haven't
that...
seen any of you guys training anyone.
Yeah, I've been training Baker.
Oh.
So I actually just got a session in with him yesterday, where I did the window. Well, we just got that window made. I got the window done.
We're really challenging ourselves here.
I did the window in time and showed him
gonna
how
be
I do
interesting.
it. And then he did it, and it actually looked really good. If he actually takes a couple more reps at it before we go, he'll score better than a lot of people there that I've seen install the window in the past. He could possibly even final. His ability to handle film from doing as much auto as he has is actually really good.
That's the one thing that transfers really easily. If you're an auto tinner, I can turn you into a flat glass tinner. I can turn you into a top level flat glass tinner without a doubt. In a commercial setting, I'll make you a killer in a couple weeks. Now you get into residential, it changes. Wood frame windows, arches, sunburst, so it changes when it comes to residential. But the commercial setting, give us a couple weeks and we will make you a top level installer. And that's where auto installers, they love the challenge. And that's one reason I loved auto. Like I did consider myself an auto tinner for the longest time. I still do. Like, that's why I was in the shop for like at least 2 or 3 years straight. Like I didn't give up. I stepped away from flat glass and went into auto because I like the challenge of tinting cars. Cars are definitely harder than flat glass when it comes down to it. Just like back windows, curves, stuff like that. So solving those problems. So like, that's one of the main reasons why like it irks me a bit that I'm very grateful to have won the architectural, but like I've yet to crack the top 10 of auto, and it really irks me. I don't like it.
It's a volume thing, man. For the auto competition, you can't use the computer cut pattern.
I proved that wrong though with
you need to
flat
be
glass.
hand cutting every day.
That's why it bothers
Yeah,
me.
but so it's a timed event. So you haven't even been to it yet, have you?
No, I've never been.
So it's all about the quality of the install, but it's still under time.
Yeah.
So the time is what ends up killing you. If you're not used to tinting a car and
very
hand
high pressure
cutting the patterns and doing it quickly, like the extra time involved in cutting the pattern compared to having a pre-cut pattern is a lot. And if you're not doing that day by day, someone who's cutting 3-4 cars a day by hand, maybe 5 or 6, compared to someone who's not cutting anything by hand all day, like that's such a huge. There's a ton. Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that are independent. It's them, and they're in a smaller town or whatever, and they do a couple cars a day, and they make up. I mean, this industry is so wide. There's so many different ways. You don't have to grow and become a big business, and that's the other reason why I think Dad was comfortable where he was at. They used to say, "Stay small, keep it all." Like it's like growing. You just see the extra risk involved, and if you can keep everything to yourself, why risk the being let down by someone that you train that then opens up across the road? Because that was the fear in the industry forever, and it still happens to this day for sure.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I feel like we're in a big enough market. We've realized that leadership and taking care of your people, you can actually get people to stay. And you're not going to be 100% on hiring. You're gonna fail. You need to realize quick and cut the cord.
Yep.
And just hire again. Like you're not gonna, just like your first window you install is not gonna be perfect. The first person you hire isn't gonna be your lifelong business partner. You might get lucky, but the tin-off competition thing's gonna be cool. So the bet we've got going is Jordan Baker, our cousin, and Jordan Blanchard, our graphics installer, Ricky's best friend forever. Actually played baseball with Pineda.
Yeah.
They're coming. Jordan installs PPF all day. He doesn't install flat glass, but he used to do it with Ricky.
Say just how Josh started out when he was 16, being sent out with his friends from high school. I think it was just out of high school. Jordan he was pitching for Western up in Reno, and was a pitch away from pretty much earning a scholarship to a D1, if I'm not mistaken, pitching against Justin.
My husband.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
Pitching
true.
against
He got his
Justin.
arm against Justin. I know that. Yeah.
One of the last pitches he threw,
Yep.
his UCL snapped. He had to have Tommy John, and then when that happened, he came back down because there was no reason to be up there, so he came back down here, continued schooling down here, and then hit me up like, "Hey man, what's up? I need a job," which he'd already done in, I think, our senior year too. Like in the summer, he wanted to make some money. I had no problem bringing on an assistant. Like mom and dad had no problem. I told him like I'll pay him. Like I'll help pay, because I knew what having someone to help me would do, because I had been that person for either Josh, I'd been that person for dad. And then I started teaching Jordan how to do flat glass. Like he knows, like he was my full-fledged prepper, to where I was just walking up to a window and just hanging the film. Taught him how to tint, but at that time when I had in my eyes, didn't have a growth mind, which I wish I would have actually let him flourish as a tinner, because he would have been even further along. I selfishly kept him as my prepper, but I paid him really well, because together we were a great team. Like we were doing 600-700 square feet in a day, which like I look back at it now, I'm like, how did I do that? I'm like, I'm not
Young.
Yeah, I guess so. But it was one of those things where, so like I know he has a solid background there, and then also the fact that he's done graphics and even paint protection. Paint protection still has the same concepts when it comes to tint. Gotta clean the surface, prepping the surface is everything. When you're laying it on, like squeegeeing something out, working with the film in his hands. So I'm not worried at all. Really not.
Have you been practicing with him though?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Starting tomorrow morning.
Watching him like wrap something now with the tools that he's got and stuff is like wild compared to early days of wrapping something. It's like, oh, there's a tool for that.
That's what makes him that much more valuable in my eyes, is that he had to do all the wraps, and he worked with the primitive tools that we had. Now we have we learned how to tint with a yellow turbo and a white card. You know, and an OFA.
Turbo, is that a squeeze?
The yellow,
The yellow
the yellow squeegee. Those were the three things we like. Our corner cards were a white card, cut in half and snapped, and then sanded really nicely. Like we really like there is like a passion to sanding down a white card to make it like perfect for yourself, and then you'd lose it and you would be pissed.
Now there's like 100 different species. I just watch people on Instagram or TikTok, like shops all over the country making content now, and I see them squeegeeing with something. I'm like, what is that? And why are they using that?
Making their own
Yeah,
things
it's
now.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to develop something,
Is
and
that like the blue squeegee?
that we are the only ones who have those.
Yeah.
And every
Here's your
time
chance to market them. For some reason, the man who
it's-
makes them, they're blue.
it's the rubber, what the guy makes them out of, which I'm not going to divulge from where. The material he used to be a tinner, so he literally developed this mixture of rubber or whatever it is. I know Nick from Fusion Tools, like I've showed it to him, and like he tried reaching out to the guy, tried to get the mixture from him, because it's just getting the molds and injecting the molds with that mixture. And it has been a game changer for us. Every time I introduce it to somebody, they're like, "Where'd you get this?" And I was like, "I'm not telling, but you can buy them from me."
They'll be for sale soon on our shop.
Well, the problem is
Exclusive.
he exclusively makes them for us at this point.
And we buy them in huge bulk amounts.
He's
Kind of a sketch.
The guy that makes them isn't like actively pursuing making them. So we'll like make a huge order to make it worth his while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's
I'm
an
gonna.
interesting thing.
Well, I've already got hosed by Dad in the fact, because I'm pretty sure we have at least, I think, 500 on hand right now, and you know they're not necessarily the cheapest things in the
I
world.
should be slanging these at the 10 off. We should brand them. You're right. We should definitely brand them.
We could brand them with the podcast. Yeah.
No, that's something that we definitely like. It's like I've been wanting for. I think one of the guests that we wanted to bring on here. I just actually ordered some of his tools, Mike, out of Houston, Mike Noriga. He has numerous tools, and he's constantly developing tools to help better the industry and also help better the installs too. It's not just to help the installer get it done more fast or more efficient, to have a cleaner install. got his squeegees the other day for PPF. Those things are amazing.
Yeah, and I don't know. The other reason why I think we haven't like pursued it real crazy is you see all the other people that are out there trying to push tools into the industry, and that's a whole nother business.
Oh, it's
Nick Fusion Tools, the dude. I don't know how many patents he has or how many inventions he's made for the tin industry,
so long.
but he helps so many of us every day with the stuff that he's made. But I know that's a whole nother business on top of the tin shop.
Him explaining how he's created the tools that he has, and then how to first, when you're doing just testing the tool out, making the molds and trying over and over and over again.
Well, let's just sell one. Let's just sell the blue one.
That's why I just want to find someone I can sell them all to.
I mean, I think orange. There's got to be a way for him to make it a different color.
We can ask.
So we could just bring him to him over there at the booth and let him do it. But I don't know. Maybe we team up with Fusion. I don't know. We're having like a meeting on a podcast.
Yeah.
Meeting would be a lot more entertaining.
This is an insight to how we have a meeting.
Yeah.
I feel like it's something we've already talked about. Is you want things done and you want them done right now, and it's like, here's my idea, and then I'm like, okay, cool, I like the idea. Let's look into it. And you're like, next meeting. So where are we with this? I'm like, dude, we can't implement something.
It's been 7 days.
I mean, we probably could, but
Oh my god.
But it would take away from
tunnel vision on something.
There's a time and place for that.
yeah, but sometimes timing matters. Like when so here's an example, TikTok. Now, I realize now that I need to take the ownership on like nobody else was taking it seriously. I should have just dove in head first. But
Correct.
I downloaded TikTok like 6 years ago when Gary Vee first started talking about how important it was going to be.
Yep.
And I didn't quite understand it, but it's like
Still don't understand it.
I understand that how
I
much
don't.
it's used and how many eyeballs are on it and how it's an interest graph. So if you just make quality content and it does well, like it doesn't matter how many followers you have. So you're one video away from going viral. Now all the platforms are kind of mimicking that algorithm. So Instagram Reels are doing it.
Yeah.
I think YouTube Shorts is something similar. It's more of an interest graph.
Yeah.
But like timing does matter sometimes. So it's like sometimes it's like, hey, there's a moment in time where you can capture an audience on a certain platform. We need to move now. And that's where my frustration sometimes comes from. But yeah, no, I get that. And like I said earlier, like I get sometimes certain things do take time and you do need to put a little bit more thought into it. And I do like the idea of knowing what I am good at and what I'm not good at. And I know I'm good at generating ideas, and I know I need help on making sure the execution happens. It's like I'm also not good at communicating it in a way where I can get buy-in, where I can get the execution to happen. So that's something I'm still working on.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's why I send more clips now. It's like, all right, I'm clearly not saying this right. Like I need to have somebody smarter than me explain it.
Yeah, but you don't catch me on those if they're longer than like a couple minutes. I'm like, I am not sitting down for an hour and a half. When do I have an hour and a half to?
That's the beauty of still installing.
Start
that
running.
I really like. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Either running or installing is nice because I can have an AirPod in and I can just be listening to it as I'm working, you know? So
That's probably the biggest reason why I'm saying I don't listen to the clips, why they don't get listened to as fast enough or as fast as you'd probably like me to, is that I'm not installing that much anymore. Like it's hard. Like I fall behind on my podcast now, and even like books. Like when I jumped into Jocko's books, I think I listened to all three of them. I want to say a week and a half, all three, because I was just installing and I was running. So I had like the first hour and a half, 2 hours of my day, listen to it, and then I'd go to someone's house where I would very nicely put a headphone in and then just start working. If usually a customer sees a headphone, they let you be. They let you do your work. They just care that the work's being done. And then I just blow through 4 or 5 hours of a book, and it's all of a sudden like, oh, okay, this book's gone. I'm gonna listen to this next one. So yeah, that is the reason why I haven't listened to as many as probably you want me to. But usually by the title, I get the gist of what you're trying to say. Usually almost instantly when I see it, I'm like,
it's like reading a headline of a news story. That is not conveying the idea.
It depending on if it's a Hermosi or if it's Jocko, and depending on what's going on at the time or what discussion the three of us are
Well, if
having.
it's hyper
I know what you're doing.
I mean, I just love that no one responds though.
Yeah. Well, if it's
I
hyper,
talk to him.
yeah, we'll talk.
hate
But if it's
texting.
like hyper specific, it's typically like a short or a reel or a TikTok, so it's not long. And most of the time, if it is like a specific idea, I'll follow up with the thing I'm looking at in this. Like, I think I did
Hour and a half in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll give you a timestamp. Okay, this 2 minutes. Listen to that 2 minutes at least.
4-hour podcast.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I find it helpful, at least for me, to get the idea out of my head, because sometimes that's the biggest problem.
I would say time management and execution. That would be my thing.
Listening to podcasts.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. No, it's very easy to, and I'm a victim of it too. Everyone is. If someone says they're not, they're just lying to you. That you lose track of time. Like, it's when I actually start putting a watch on my wrist and and even when it came to tinting a house, when I approach a job, I look at how many panes it is, and then I start doing the math in my head. Okay, if I do each pane at 5 minutes a pane or 10 minutes a pane, after looking at what kind of window it is, all right, this job should take me 4 hours. This job should take this many hours. All right, I have 3 installers with me. If each installer does 6 windows in an hour, like, we're at 18 panes. Say it's only a 20-something pane job, like 45 minutes for unloading. Do the math. So job should take 2 or 3 hours, depending on how many panes it is. And yes, that changes from job to job, obviously, if there's blinds up, if there's stuff in the way. But, like, if you get in a commercial job, there's nothing in the way. Like, that job, there should be a pretty good time schedule of how that job should go, as long as everyone's operating in a certain tempo or pace. I mean, when it comes down to it, installers know the more you put up, the more I can schedule. Like, that's how our industry works when it comes down to it. We have our own scale built into our installers, where they all have pretty much a base, but they're all incentivized to where if they're going to do, like, hey, we just did the 400 square foot house, like, we can knock that out in a couple hours, schedule another house to where we can fit more work in a day, where it's not like we're just trying to take advantage of someone. It's like, well, you're working hourly, like, I scheduled this many square feet, just deal with it. It's make them as efficiently as possible, like, show them the way, like, this is how much money you can make. So that, I would say that for you, those two things. People management, learning how to, and which I'm still, that's my biggest drive. That's why I pushed this year to go back to Jocko's, go to the muster, that's what it's taught there. That's what is being taught there. I'm taking, instead of Josh going this time around, I'm bringing Brennan with me. Like, he's technically a year and a couple months into actually being an auto manager. Like, was probably looked at or was categorized as that because he was lead installer, but he was just an installer, just like I was just an installer at one point, and then I moved on to, like, all right, I'm actually going to manage now. And, like, that's a completely different job, learning how to manage people and manage your assets, and also be, at the time where he did for a little bit, be lead installer. Now he has a whole crew underneath him. He's helped train his entire crew, and he's trying to push them in the right direction. Just like how I'm trying to manage through the different departments, the different department heads. Like, not necessarily I would say try to keep everyone happy, but keep everyone working together in unison so we all benefit together. Yeah. Like, what he's done so far, in my eyes, from when he first entered our company when he was 16, like, night and day difference. Mm-hmm. I mean, even the past year and a half, year and a quarter where it's been, where he's in that position. Like, now it's like I'm excited to start taking people into those certain seminars and stuff and start growing that aspect because that's just going to make everything run more efficiently in the company.
Yeah, sure. I mean, to be fair, I didn't even know that I had people to manage until last week. So,
well, that was new. But we're still looked at, no matter what. All three of us, no matter what, we are still looked at as the owner's kids.
I get it.
It just comes with the territory. Unfortunately, we get looked at differently. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. We've had different situation within the company, so it's like I get it. It is what it is, but, like, use it to your advantage. Use it to your advantage in a way of knowing how to approach a situation, or because that's one thing I've definitely learned in the past couple of years. Dealing with each individual is completely different from dealing. It changes from person to person.
Yeah.
With what motivates them, how they like to be encouraged or praised in certain things. Like, everyone's different. I'm different from him. I know that for a certainty. And I would say the same thing for you.
That's actually something that I've always thought the idea of, like, leadership was, like, be the leader that you wanted. Like, but I've actually come to realize, like, that actually doesn't work because everybody's not like me. They don't think like me, like, there's parts of that are true. Like, I can kind of implement that, but yeah, you do have to lead differently for different people. you do have to lead. You do have to set the example. Like you have to, if you want things done a certain way, you got to show that that's how you want it done. You got to actually communicate it. But yeah, you can't just be the leader that you wanted. You need to actually realize, like, what does each individual need? It's definitely something I'm still trying to get better at, because I can get way more relaxed and way more into, this is one thing why I think running appeals to me so much, and jiu-jitsu is I love getting lost in something. I love getting into like a flow state. Like if I can just be focused and present at what I'm doing, like, you know, tinting a window, listening to an audiobook where I'm learning something that I'm passionate about and trying to grow on, and just like that's what I'm doing. That's like I can, time slips away real quick.
Oh,
Not like in a super inefficient way. I'm still like window getting done, but it's just like that's all I'm focused on. And maybe there is a phone call that needs to be made or something, but like, yeah, that's definitely something. And I know that I need to get better at. But at the same time, like, I like being lost in something.
Oh,
Yeah.
agreed. I mean, that's why I love running so much, is like that when I'm actually in the full training cycle, I'm actually able to run, like, especially my Saturdays. It's like I get to go disappear for 3 up towards of like my longer runs are 5 hours, like turn on multiple podcasts I've been wanting to listen to, like I actually want to focus on, like certain ones I can't listen to during the week because it's like I'm trying to do some tasks, but I'll try to pay attention to what's going on in the podcast. Like, okay, I can't do this. This is taking away from what I'm doing right now. So I'll wait for it for my runs. And that's where I go get running in the mountains. I mean, just go disappear for a bit, reset myself. And even my hour runs or hour and a half runs, same thing. That's obviously my me time to decompress my brain to where it's like I get to turn everything off. Like I'm not thinking about business. I'm not thinking about what needs to be done that day. I'm just thinking about what's my heart rate at, how do my legs feel, and how many miles do I got to go. And that's it. And then what I'm listening to.
And how not to die.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not that bad.
Well, we're going to find out in this race, because this race I'm going to be going into already hobbled. So.
You're my younger siblings. You're amazing. I mean,
Oh,
God.
My brother.
Yeah, no, for me, it's going to be
That's
don't
why
be
you
so
let us
high
go
strung.
first.
I'll answer for him. For me, it's going to be don't be so high strung.
Yeah, no, I would. You actually, I think you already know it. Like and she already said it. You grew up in the business. Your dad was who you learned from, and the micromanaging stuff is just ingrained in there. Like, you've gotten a million times better at it, and continuously getting better.
I agree.
It's not a complete flaw. I think it's good that we've all got a mix of different ways that we do stuff, and I think sometimes it helps reel us in on stuff. So it's not, but I love the fact that you at least know that like delegating is more powerful, and you're doing it way more, and like whereas I am probably the polar opposite, and I do it too much. And that's like kind of leading back to what I was just saying on like being the leader that you wanted. I definitely would love being left alone. Like, just don't manage me at all. Just let me get what I need to get done. So that's why I feel like that's one of my biggest flaws when I'm leading people is I'll do the same thing. And maybe they want more leadership and they want more instruction.
Yeah.
And something.
Yeah, I think that.
Definitely.
More intent, I would say.
Yeah. So that's definitely something. Actually, recently, it's something I've noticed. Having. All right, now her.
There we go.
Trying to say constructive criticism for Nyshele. Just agree with me more.
Oh,
Just don't argue with me as much, and we'll be good.
Oh my God.
We don't actually directly work with each other enough, other than in meetings when we're like hashing out the hard stuff. Like, we only really work together mostly on the hard conversations, and I think you do a good job at dealing with me, because I know I'm not easy to deal with.
I was just gonna say it's not easy at times.
So, yeah, just don't. If we're having a text conversation and it's
I tried to stop it
it's not
yesterday.
going well, just shut it off.
I tried
I've already
yesterday,
told
you
both of you,
literally were like,
stop texting.
kept texting, and I'm like, let's talk in person. Kept texting, like, let's talk in person.
What's funny is I'm great about that with everybody else, but for some reason with you, I have to fire off another text.
I literally yesterday kept saying, let's talk in person. You kept going.
I
was
would
like,
have stopped.
I
responding.
stopped. No, I did stop.
So that's my thing. Stop responding because I'm eventually going to see you face to face, and that's when we'll continue the conversation.
Yeah, no, I agree. I normally preach that to other people. Like, if it's a serious conversation, don't have it as a text conversation.
Can be
Have
right.
it in
So many
person or
ways.
on the phone or FaceTime at minimum. Yeah, I don't. Come full time. We need you more.
I actually am going to start working more. So that's
Surprise!
just
Yay!
being implemented. Yeah.
All right, good.
All right, so like I was coming to kind of wrapping this up. I would say that look at it this way, or let's give the where do you think, or where do you see the company going? What's your vision for the company in the future? As you've slowly been soaking up more and more of like being more involved, and it now leading to the point where you're about to be even more involved in the company.
Ooh, I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, obviously growing it more, even though it gives me a headache at times. I'm like, what? Why did I want to do this again? Owning a business is not that fun sometimes. But I think just like I see it growing. I see, hopefully we get to do the goals that you guys have in mind, like opening the Tint school and kind of being able to be you guys, especially being more out of the operations. I think would be awesome that we don't have to. We just have teams, so we can actually just be running the business instead of doing majority of it. Because I don't think Dad ever really got to do that. He never really got the luxury to do that, and I think he kind of paved the way for us to have a better life, and eventually you guys will get to more, be less like doing the daily operations, which would be awesome because then we can focus on more high, like upper and like business things that we want to do.
I'll piggyback off that and agree 100%. I never really understood the fact of like when it comes down to it, like this, the weight of the company. I want to be able to, get to the point when that's kind of one of my key drivers when it comes down to it, like the big eye opener with I need to stop micromanaging and actually let the departments run themselves. I'm pretty sure it's one of the videos I actually saw Ryan do and talk about, I think it was with a real estate company, or I forget which one of his companies, talk about how he can step away from any one of his businesses and his teams are taking care of it while he goes and works on something else or does something else. He's got zero worry in the world. And I would say I am pretty much at that now, with the fact like the times when I go take vacation, like I'll go back to New York. I'll be gone for 6-7 days. It's like I don't get a call unless something really bad happens. But otherwise, still, I usually don't get a call. Everything just kind of gets handled. We've kind of finally got to the point where everyone knows what is expected, and like getting to the point where we can do that. And yes, run the company, but also provide opportunities for everyone that we work with to be able to support themselves, support their family, and give them a fun environment to come to. Because I would say that's one thing that I really want to really strive for, is making it to where everyone should be coming to work to have fun. Yeah. You're there to just like, obviously you're there to work and get a job done, but at the same time, it just, you look forward to coming to work,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I totally agree. And piggybacking up the community thing, like I think we've created like such a better work environment. That's what I want to see even more happen. Like, we do team events now, which we never did in the past. And I think employees appreciate that.
Fantasy football league. Gonna dominate that thing.
Yeah, the fantasy football league's actually been fun. You've been listening to Armando's podcast?
Yes.
Armando started a podcast for our company, Fantasy Football League.
It's
All
hilarious.
Valley Fantasy Football League. It's on Spotify, so check it out.
Every Monday.
It's hilarious.
It's it's funny.
Yeah, it's
pretty
just
good.
funny. But like he just randomly did that on his own. All right.
So same question for you then. We'll wrap it up with that. Where do you see the company going?
The growing it is definitely top of mind for the same reasons you guys were just talking about. I love the idea that I've kind of grown into, like, I might have been a little nutty politically 5-6 years ago. If you go back and look at my Facebook,
2015.
I was a different person. It's there. There's a record on Facebook if you want to see how crazy I was. But I came to a very big realization that like wanting some politician or a policy or something else out there to like be the thing that's gonna save you is like never gonna work, and the actual power comes from you actually realizing that you have control to actually make the world a better place. And like your circle of influence is really small, and focus on that. Most people aren't focusing on that. So focusing on like, hey, window tint something I know, we've got the history with our business, it's already grown, we've got the momentum, we can help way more people growing our business, teaching more people to tint internally in the business itself. And then like Nyshele mentioned, the idea of actually creating more content on teaching more people out there how to do flat glass the way that we do it, how to do architectural tint, actually having a online catalog school or physical seminars. I don't know, I could go on for days on all the big vision stuff that I want to see happen.
Well, even along with that too, I would add to that the getting the information out to the consumer.
Oh yeah,
that letting people know that safety film is there, to where like that's one big spike we've seen is in smash and grabs, people getting broken into, is that we can offer something that's going to help protect, or well, it's going to help
peace of mind.
provide peace of mind and buy you time in a crucial situation to where time is everything. Instead of someone smashing your window, getting straight through, they are now slowed down, or hopefully they just run away because they're just idiots, because any person who is doing that is just an idiot.
Yeah.
Or if you're able to either, your alarm's going off, call the cops, grab something to protect yourself, actually be able to protect your family if you're not, if you have a family. So, and then for energy, solar film to help reduce your energy costs. Energy right now is absurd. Power bills are absurd. Like they've gone up 40% in the past 2 years. So actually be able to provide some relief, and like, because that's one thing people know, tint is there for cars. People know that's usually hand in hand. As soon as you start mentioning, you can start doing this stuff for houses, commercial buildings, and stuff, and any of those settings, especially with safety films, anything like that. That is like being able to actually put out that content where it's actually informing people like, hey, this is what can be done. This is what can be done in this window, because then you change from window to window. You could go on, same thing, you go on for ages about the different type of films and products and what it's being installed on. Yeah. So being able to inform the community.
Yeah. I mean, you said it better than I could have. The education piece, not just on like growing the business, or teaching tinters how to tint, but educating just the general, because I actually just asked ChatGPT this question, just because Tom Foster made me think of it. One of our mentors in the industry just recently passed away, and we just found out about it a couple of days ago. And he'd been around our family for decades, and something that I'll never forget him saying was like how many billions of square feet of untinted glass there are out there, and how it would take hundreds of years for all the installers that exist to tint it, and that's without new glass coming into circulation. So I actually asked ChatGPT that question, like roughly how much glass is out there and how long would it take if there was, and it's like billions of square feet of glass, and with 50,000 installers, it would take 200 years to install it. So it's like the opportunity that is out there, just people don't know it exists.
Yep.
So like that's one of the reasons we're doing this podcast right here. Like hopefully not everybody listening is involved in the tint industry, and you just, you're interested in local business here in Vegas or whatever, and you realize that window tint actually is a great solution for a lot of problems, whether it's security, solar control, saving energy, decorative. Frost is crazy. We've been doing a lot of installs of the new smart film.
Yep.
That's switchable, so you go from clear to privacy in the flick of a switch.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem. Thank you for being, like I said, our first choice.
You were definitely our first choice.
Yeah.
Technically, it was my first choice.
Yeah, actually, he was fighting to have you on, but you didn't want to be on. So we scheduled something else ahead of it. Well, it happened. You'll be on again.
Well, we'll be on again. You'll be on again with Mom.
Oh yeah.
That's the last piece of the family to get on here, to kind of get, if anything, really get her her side of the story when it comes to it, because she had recently made a statement to me of I never wanted you guys to be like I didn't want you guys in the business for the same thing you said, like why you didn't want to be in again with running a business is you don't understand
I'm sure
it. So
mom
you get
had an influence on you not wanting to be in it too.
Probably.
But if you want more of these antics from our family, which subscribe.
Yeah, you know how it works. Hit the subscribe button. Please follow us on all of our different social medias.
I'll catch you next time on Born to Tint with the Miller brothers, and this time the Miller sister.
Oh yeah.